So we're back with another pay-per-view. And what a pay-per-view it is. UFC 319. It's finally here. Dricus du Plessis out of South Africa versus Hamza Chimaev out of Chechnya, or out of the UAE by way of Chechnya, Russia. This is going to be a really good card. This is my most hyped up main event. Not just main event, scratch that, just fight in general. I'm very keen to see this fight. I think we've all been waiting, holding our breaths that, that this, just the fact to get to fight week has been very scary because obviously Hamza Chimaev has pulled out quite a few fights. I hope I haven't jinxed this right now, but it seems like, we're almost there unless some sort of biblical plague happens. It seems like the fight's going to happen. So without further ado, let's get into the main card. We start off with the first fight of the night, which is the tough finale between Idris versus Joseph Morales. Now, Joseph Morales was in the UFC previously. He's worked his way back to the UFC via The Ultimate Fighter. Now, I have not been watching The Ultimate Fighter. I'm just going to be straight up with you guys. But I do know that Joseph Morales sort of got a robbery his last time around to get into The Ultimate Fighter, which is not really good when you see that his opponent is like a very good undefeated guy from Kazakhstan who has the cardio. Seems like he has some Marab type cardio. He's got power as well. Very well rounded. I think he's going to beat Joseph Morales. Now, I haven't watched too much tape on these two, but from what I've seen, I like Idris a little bit more to get this one done. He seems like a pretty solid prospect. At the very least, good enough to beat Joseph Morales. A bit wild in exchanges, but I don't think that's going to be a problem with a fighter like Joseph Morales. So I'm going to go Is his name fucking Alibi? Alibi Idris? I'm going to go that alibi is going to be that he's fighting Joseph Morales in the UFC and he's going to win. His alibi is that he's in a cage for if he murders Joseph Morales. So I'm going to go Alibi Idris to get this one done. Then we go Kareem Silva versus Diana Barboza. Now, I believe this is a rematch. I'm going to double check just to make sure that I'm not wrong on this, but no, maybe I am wrong. I believe I am wrong. I thought these two fought before, but I guess they have not. Oh, no, they did, but Diana Barboza beat Kareem Silva. Oh my god, that is unexpected. Okay, that's shocking to me. I wouldn't have guessed that. I would have thought Kareem Silva would have beat her, especially... Yeah, okay, that's a bit shocking to be fair. I mean, Diana Barboza's not that bad, but it's like, I don't know, it's just a bit shocking, right? Because Kareem Silva is like super solid, but I don't know who to pick now. I was just going to go, Kareem Silva won the first fight. I mean, she should have beat Vivian Araholo. Sorry, I'm really bad at these pronunciations. I'll go Kareem Silva, though. I'll just say Kareem Silva wins. She's probably made more improvements than Diana Barboza. Then we got Sultan Ruziboev versus Brian Battle. I'm going to go with Brian Battle here. I actually have a bit of a hot take. I don't think Sultan Ruziboev is really that good. Like, he's alright, but his fight against Dustin Stolfus was pretty mid. Not a great performance by any means. I don't know, I just don't rate the guy too highly. Yeah, he did chin Bruno Ferreira, but most times out of 10, I don't think he's catching Bruno Ferreira. And, he's got a 36-9 record, but, very can-crushy record. Yeah, he's got a lot of experience, but destroyed by Joaquin Buckley, which isn't, a bad look. Did chin Cedric Dumas, which, shout out to him for doing that. Did cheat a little bit in that fight, but he would have beat Dumas anyway. But I don't know. I'm going to say Brian Battle's good enough to win this fight. I think he'll be very heavy in the clinch as well. I think he'll be able to just clinch fuck Ruziboev a little bit here. A lot of good knees. Ruziboev isn't like a Renat Fikredinov where he can just wrestle the whole time. He doesn't have that sort of game plan here. He's not like a crazy good striker like Randy Brown either, who I thought arguably should have beat Brian Battle. And who's his other loss to? Is his other loss outside the UFC? Yeah, it was to Nicholas Martino. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to say Brian Battle gets this one done. I reckon he'll win this over Ruziboev. Then we got Edson Barboza versus Drakkar Klose. I'm going to go with Edson Barboza. I know he's an unk. He is old, but so is Drakkar Klose. And while Edson Barboza, you can probably call him a has-been, respectfully, I feel like Drakkar Klose never been, Barboza maybe a has-been, maybe he's past his prime, but I just feel like even past his prime, he's still doing a lot more than Drakkar Klose. Drakkar Klose is very underrated, though, don't get me wrong. He does have a win over Bobby Green that probably is a bit of a robbery. Like, he's not a bad fighter by any means, but I just feel like Edson Barboza, even at this point in his career, has got to bigger heights, has put on a lot better performances. Like, people forget he borderline chinned Lerone Murphy with an upkick in their fight, while Drakkar Klose got brutally chinned by Joel Alvarez, who would chin Edson Barboza, to be fair, slam Joe Shalecki, beat Rafa Garcia, beat Brandon Jenkins, who shouldn't have been in the UFC, got chinned by Benil Dariush, and he lost to David Timon. So he's like a very underrated guy, but he's just very old, and he is very chinny. I feel like Barboza will be able to utilize him being chinny. Plus, there's Barboza back up at 155. In his older age, I think this is a good move for him to move up to 155. And he's still he's very solid. He's chin Billy Quarantillo with a brutal knee. He beat Sadiq Youssef before that. So, like, he's still, like, not looking too bad. Yeah, he got destroyed by Lerone Murphy, but Murphy isn't that bad. And he did have some moments in that fight, Maybe just the upkick, but it's still a moment, I think if he's any bit, even if he's just a shell of himself, I think he's good enough to beat Drakkar Klose. Then we got Alexander Hernandez versus Chase Hooper. I'm going to go with Chase Hooper here. Alexander Hernandez he's got very bad cardio. His grappling defense isn't the best. Now, he is powerful enough to hurt Chase Hooper. Like, he could definitely hurt Chase Hooper in this fight. Like, there is no doubt in my mind that he could definitely land some big shots. But Chase Hooper seems a lot more durable at 155. And plus, the one time he did get badly dropped and finished was against Steve Garcia, who is now ranked at featherweight, who is pretty solid. So, like, you can't really even say that's, like, a bad loss to have. Yeah, he got dropped a lot, but Steve Garcia is just nasty power. And that was when Chase Hooper was pretty incompetent on the feet. Now I think he's actually pretty good on the feet. Not like he's going to go out there and outstrike Alexander Hernandez, but he can actually strike a little bit. He's got some good striking. He dropped Borshev. Slava Claus, a K1 champion, or maybe not K1, but he was in he was a world champion in some form, some kickboxing organization. Very good kickboxer. And Chase Hooper did manage to drop him with the takedown threat. So I think he could drop Alexander Hernandez. And another thing is, you can argue Hernandez has lost his last two fights. Like, he's back on a winning streak for the first time in a while. But you could say that Kurt Holloway beat him. I thought he beat Austin Hubbard, but you can argue that Kurt Holloway beat him. And you can even maybe make the argument that Austin Hubbard beat him. But I think that he beat Austin Hubbard. But yeah, I don't know. I think Chase Hooper is going to maul him. Because if you look at his past opponents who have given him trouble, Damon Jackson, cardio, wrestler, Bill Algeo, cardio, can mix in the wrestling. Just people who have weaponized pace are always going to be bad against. Like, Billy Quarantillo just beat him up just with pure pace and pressure. Moicano beat him with striking. He dropped him and then he subbed him, club and subbed him. I think Moises was pretty close. You could have argued he won that one. Drew Dober just chinned him, and Cerrone, head kicked him, beat him up. So, like, I really like Chase Hooper in this fight. I think he's going to get this one done over Alexander Hernandez. Then we've got Jessica Andrade versus Lupita Godinez. I'm going to say that Godinez is going to get this one done. Now, she's had some weird performances before. Like, she did lose to Angela Hill, and she did lose to Mackenzie Dern, and she did lose to Verna Jandaroba, but she's never really had a problem with her chin, and I thought she beat Luana Carolina. Like, she's a very solid boxer, very good wrestling, and Andrade, at this point in her career, her takedown defense is nada. She doesn't really have very good takedown defense. Jasmine Vicious just took her down and mauled her in the first round. I think Lupita Godinez is going to have a similar game plan. Although Andrade does do better at strawweight, I don't know. I think Lupita Godinez, she's pretty durable as well. I think she'll get this one done. Then we've got Gerald Meerschaert versus Michelle Oleksiejczuk. Oh my god, this is a really annoying fight to predict. This is the generational striker versus grappler matchup. Because Michelle Oleksiejczuk, he's had a lot of problems with submission defense and takedown defense before. He's done really good against, especially at middleweight, he's done pretty good against all of these grapplers than he normally does. But, it's really tricky because Gerald Meerschaert is just a very... Oh, man, I always like picking Michelle Oleksiejczuk as an underdog. He's a favorite. Sometimes he can shit the bed. Plus, Gerald, I've never really cashed out a GM3 underdog pick. Like, he got beat up by Shara Magomedov. I picked Kevin Holland to beat him. And then he got subbed immediately by Michel Pereira. And Cedric Dumas is garbage, to be fair. Oh, man, this is actually a tough one. He looked really good against Kyle Borello. That was an interesting thing, though. He had a pretty decent... And Gerald Meerschaert is coming off 2 losses. Brad Tavares, nightmare matchup for him. Reina Dorita, where he looked pretty good against Reina Dorita. Oh, man, this is... I think I'm going to do it. I think I'm going to go with Gerald Meerschaert by submission, to be honest. I think this is a Meerschaert submission win. I can see the body kicks from Meerschaert. He's going to land his signature body kicks. Michel Oleksiejczuk likes to move forward a lot, but his takedown defense can be a bit worrying at times. I'm going to say Gerald Meerschaert gets it done, to be honest. I'm going to say he gets a submission over Michel Oleksiejczuk. So yeah, I'll go GM3, 3rd round submission. Let's just go with it. GM3 gets it done in the 3rd round over Michel Oleksiejczuk. I was really going to pick Michel Oleksiejczuk here, but I think that Meerschaert's going to get this one done. Then we got King Green versus Diego Ferreira. I'm going to say Diego Ferreira is going to get this one done. I think he's going to get it done by KO. I think that at this point in his career, I think Bobby Green's chin is just done. King Green. King Green's chin, I think, is gone. And CDF has actually had some pretty good performances of late. Obviously beat up Rebecca, chin Michael Johnson. And Johnson's on like a good run himself. Did lose to Grant Dawson. And I guess if you want to use MMA math, King Green did chin Grant Dawson pretty easily. But I don't know. I reckon Diego Ferreira will get this one done. Like, I don't know. I worry about King Green's chin. Plus, he did get subbed out cold by Paddy Pimblett. I think he's coming off 2 losses in a row, which I think is the Paddy and the Mauricio Ruffy fight. So we got the guy with Connor's personality, and then he fought a guy who fights like Connor. So that's pretty interesting, you know. He's getting the best. He's getting both. He fought like McGregor. Fought Conor McGregor if he didn't have the personality. And he also fought Conor McGregor if he didn't have the flashy fight style. But I'm going to say Diego Ferreira gets this one done via KO. Then we got Tim Elliott versus Kai Asakura. I'm going to go Kai Asakura to get this one done. He's just a lot younger. You know, Tim Elliott's a bit of an old man. He is very good, though. Like, he did beat Tagir Ulanbekov. And he's coming off a win of Sumadurgi. Subbed him immediately, and then he's been out for quite a while. He's been out for almost 2 years. Pretty crazy. He was booked against Tatsuro Taira at one point, though. That would have been interesting. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Kai Asakura. I think he can keep it standing. I think he can outstrike Tim Elliott. I think he'll get this one done. Like, yeah, he got subbed by Pantoja, but Pantoja was just a different level guy. So yeah, you know, he took him down. He landed some big knees though, and Tim Elliott's pretty durable. I don't think Tim Elliott's been like chinned, at least not for a while. Let's have a look. Submission. Like, David Figueiredo subbed him, didn't chin him, though. I don't think he's ever been chinned, actually. Wait, he's been in the UFC for a long time. I forgot he's been in the UFC since 2012. That's crazy. Yeah, you know, I'll go Kai Asakura, just based on youth and everything like that as well. Then we got Jared Cannonier versus Michael Venom Page. I'm going to go Michael Venom Page here. I just don't think Jared Cannonier has the ability to go in there and wrestle fuck him. Like, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Jared Cannonier brings his wrestling singlet, and he does do that, but never seen him do that. He didn't even try and do that against Israel Adesanya. Yeah, he's just a pure striker, is Jared Cannonier. You know, yeah, he will land some elbows if he knocks you down, but you don't ever see him utilize any wrestling. Maybe it's in his back pocket, and this will be the fight where he brings it out. But he's a lot older. I mean, Venom Page is also pretty old, but Jared Cannonier taking a lot of damage. Even against Gregor Rodriguez, he got badly hurt a lot in that fight. Got dropped before he came back and finished Gregory Rodriguez. And before that, he got chinned. He didn't even get chinned. He got absolutely massacred by Caio Borello in the whole fight. Got dropped and colded a bunch of times, but the ref didn't stop it. Somehow his chin was enough to survive Gregor Rodriguez. And he got sort of early stoppaged against Amavov with a beautiful 1-2 down the pipe. So, I don't know, interesting when you factor in that stuff. But I just think Michael Venom Page, too quick. He's going to be moving a lot. His movement, I feel like Jared Cannonier is just not going to be able to hit him. You know, he couldn't really deal with the footwork of Adesanya too much. And I feel like Venom Page at this point is faster than Adesanya. He's a welterweight moving up. He's going to have a big speed advantage. This is former heavyweight versus former welterweight. He's also got the lighter man skill. I'm going to say Michael Venom Page is going to get this one done by putting on a bit of a striking masterclass on Jared Cannonier. Probably get a decision. Then we got Jeff Neal versus Carlos Prates. Interesting, this fight was booked previously before, obviously, Jeff Neal pulled out. Ian Gary ended up stepping in. I'm going to say that Carlos Prates will get this one done. I still sort of believe in Carlos Prates, Lost to Ian Gary, but I picked Ian Gary to win that fight. I think that Jeff Neal can definitely have some success here. I could see that jab being a bit tasty. I could see Carlos Prates eating that jab over and over again. But I reckon that Jeff Neal is going to get caught in this fight. He's not super, super durable. I think he's coming off a win over RDA, if I remember correctly, which was a weird one. It was a leg injury there, but he did drop RDA. He looked very precise in that fight. But I don't know. I think that Carlos Prates can hurt him, Now, I do worry that Carlos Prates is going to fight with no urgency like he did against Ian Gary for like 2-3 rounds. It was only the 4th and 5th where he woke up. So part of me, that part of me does worry me that Carlos Prates just isn't going to throw here because Jeff Neal has so much power on the other end. But I think even in a decision-based fight, I feel like Carlos Prates will do a bit more. Because Jeff Neal is also known for not letting his hands go. Like, this could be an awful fight where Carlos Prates just wins a bit of a stinky decision. But either way this fight goes, if it's a firefight, if it's just a technical striking fight, I like Carlos Prates. So I'm going to go with him just because I feel like he's got a bit more avenues to win this fight. So I'm going to go Carlos Prates. Then we've got Lerone Murphy versus Aaron Pico. I really like this fight. This is a really good fight. I'm not a big Lerone Murphy fan. I just don't, not like him personally, I just don't like his fight style. He reminds me too much of Leon Edwards. And if you've been a long-time subscriber, you know how I feel about Leon Edwards as a fighter. Not a big fan. But this is no bias or anything going into this. I think that Aaron Pico is going to catch him with a big overhand. I think he's going to put him out cold. Lerone Murphy's been dropped a lot. Dan Ige got him badly. Edson Barboza, practically put him out cold with an up kick. He got hurt by Said Nurmagomedov, I think. I think he fought Said, right? I think it was Said Nurmagomedov he fought when he used to be a bantamweight. No, he did not fight Said Nurmagomedov. I am mistaken, I believe. Oh, it wasn't. I think he got dropped by Zabora Tukunov in their fight. I think he got dropped by Ricardo Ramos as well. I think the reason I said is because I think Ricardo Ramos fought Said Nurmagomedov, right? Around that time. Yeah, okay, that's why. It's because Ricardo Ramos fought Said, and so I got that confused there. But Lerone Murphy, we've seen him get hurt quite a lot. I don't think he's super durable. We've also seen him get wrestle fucked as well. Makwan Amir Khani was wrestling him all over the place, but Makwan always gasses when he goes wrestle heavy. So eventually he did gas out and get kneed to the head. So maybe he could do that. Aaron Pico has been flying knee KO before, so maybe that is something that he can utilize against Aaron Pico. But I feel like Aaron Pico's got him every way he wants. I feel like this is one of the best stylistic matchups around Pico in the rankings. Because I feel like Pico can both win a wrestling fight where he can just go in there and out-grapple him. So I don't think Murphy has the best takedown defense. Or he can go in there and I think he can badly hurt Lerone Murphy on the feet. Just feel like he's got more avenues to victory here. Now, Lerone Murphy can definitely chin Aaron Pico because Pico's chin is the worrying factor. But just as an overall fighter, I feel like he's better technically. A better fighter. I know Bellator fighters haven't really been doing the best since transitioning into the UFC, which is a bit worrying. But Aaron Pico's young. He's much younger than Lerone Murphy. People don't realize Lerone Murphy's like a 35-year-old prospect. 34 years and 3 weeks. My bad. So yeah. Aaron Pico is 28 years old. He got thrown to the wolves a little bit because he literally debuted in Bellator. He didn't get a regional career. So obviously he's got a couple losses. Jeremy Kennedy fight though, that doesn't really count. It was an injury. I don't know, he's good. He's really good. He's athletic, super powerful, good takedown defense, good wrestling himself, obviously. Could have been an Olympic wrestler. Pancration background, heavy hands. Sort of like Josh Emmett if he was a lot more well-rounded, a lot more technical. He's got probably the power of Josh Emmett, but with actual technical boxing with the ability to do more than an overhand. And yeah, we've seen Josh Emmett throw Lerone Murphy down when he actually decided to shoot. And I feel like Aaron Pico can really go to that avenue if he really wants to. He can just shoot on him, throw him around. And on the feet, I could see him landing that big overhand that Dan Ige landed. So I'm going to go Aaron Pico to get this one done. I'm going to say he gets it done by KO. Then we've got the main event of the evening. We've got Dricus Stillknox Du Plessis versus Khamzat Borz Chimaev. This is an amazing fight between two very skilled combatants. Khamzat Chimaev, big first round guy, comes out first round, one of the best first round fighters. I don't think that's a controversial take to say. Khamzat Chimaev is always very, very dangerous in that first round. Shoots out a big takedown. Sometimes he does a little sequence where he'll go out there, throw a head kick, and then immediately shoot a takedown right after. So, people go to put their hands up to protect themselves from the head kick, and then he'll shoot in, get on your hips. That's one of his signature takedown attempts. He did it to Josh Phillips. I've seen him do it in a couple of his regional fights. Then he's also got the big overhand. He's got a big shot. He's got big power in his hands, man. He caught GM3 and chinned him immediately in their fight. Cool to see that they're sharing a card, actually. But we have seen that, against Gilbert Burns. Did get a bit worried of Gilbert Burns on his back now. Obviously, Dricus Du Plessis is no Gilbert Burns off his back, but he's got some pretty good jiu-jitsu. He's got a good guillotine that he can throw out there. He's got a lot of people with that guillotine before. He's a good grappler. He's a very good striker. Definitely, I'd say Dricus Du Plessis got the cardio advantage. The Derek Brunson fight is the worrying factor here because he did sort of just get big brothered in that first round at moments, but he also fought pretty stupid. He did sort of just give Derek Brunson that position, but he showed, he came back, didn't get finished in that fight, got caught in some, got jumping guillotine by Derek Brunson. So, Derek Brunson fought pretty stupid in that fight, but I think Dricus Du Plessis would have beat him anyway, which he did. He beat the shit out of him. I obviously worry about the first round, how this first round's going to look. I feel like Khamzat Chimaev, if he's going to win a fight against Dricus Du Plessis, he can't do what he normally does. I think he needs to strike to win this fight. I think he needs to actually stand and bang a little bit. He can't just go shoot straight away and gas out, because he does gas out. I don't care what people say. People say he's got really good cardio. There will be people who argues that, but you can't fight at that pace. You just can't fight at that pace and not get gassed out. He'll immediately shoot out, slam you a couple times, transition all over the place. He'll try and throw out DAS chokes, DAS setups, anaconda chokes. He'll land a lot of ground and pound, very heavy shots. He just gasses out, man. And especially after he had the problems with his immune system, his cardio is probably also a lot worse than it would have been. When he fought John Phillips, there was no incline that he was even close to gassing when he fought at a crazy output in that fight. But it was after that, after he obviously got his illnesses, his cardio, you can tell he does slow down a little bit. And I like Dricus Du Plessis to get this one done. I'm going to go with Dricus Du Plessis. And I'm actually going to say he gets a fourth round submission. I know that's crazy, but I can see a scenario where Dricus is just putting on the pace. After a very tough first round, maybe he gets... obviously, I can see a tough round where Khamzat maybe gets the takedown. He's maybe, they're going back and forth a little bit. He's getting some good ground offense off on Dricus. I could honestly see a scenario where that happens. I can see with the first round it could be very dangerous for Dricus Du Plessis. I'm not doubting that that's a scenario, but I do think he has the ability to survive. I think he will survive. He's very tough as well. Even if he gets caught in a submission, he's just going to plot armor his way out of it. And I can just see, and let me know if I'm wrong here, but I can just see a defeated Khamzat Chimaev shooting in a really sloppy, tired takedown where Dricus Du Plessis just wraps up his neck, is on top of him, and there's just no escape. And he will just squeeze and squeeze until he does choke him unconscious or he taps out. And even also, I can see a scenario where he shoots a very sloppy takedown and maybe Dricus maybe wrestles him. Dricus knows that he's going to get taken down. I can see a scenario where Dricus is going to try and shoot takedowns on Khamzat because he is a big guy. This is going to be the biggest guy that Khamzat Chimaev has ever fought. I don't think that's a crazy take. He's definitely bigger than Robert Whittaker. He's going to be very strong. He's a very physical guy. He's very athletic as well as Dricus Du Plessis. And he's just got plot armor as well. That's also another factor you guys got to factor in. Dricus Du Plessis just has plot armor. He just doesn't lose. I've never picked against him since he fought Robert Whittaker because he just has plot armor. He's just going to beat everybody. It doesn't matter. That was the only fight I've ever picked against Dricus was against Robert Whittaker. And I'd never pick it against Drickers again until he loses. He's got that plot armor, and he's just going to find a way to win this fight. I think he's going to pressure forward. I think he's going to break Hamza. Hamza looked very gassed against Usman. Usman arguably could have won those last 2 rounds. He looked very good against Whittaker, but I picked him to beat Robert Whittaker. I knew he would go in there and he'd maul Robert Whittaker. Whittaker's got good takedown defense and get-ups, more his get-ups. And he did get up a couple times in that fight, but he's also a bit past his prime. He did go in there and destroy Robert Whittaker, which is impressive. Nobody really does that with a ground game. But I think Robert Whittaker is a bit past his prime. I think we've seen that against Reina de Ritter. He's not washed by any means. He's not washed. And I know Drickers, he got taken down by Rob. Oh, that means that Hamza's going to take him down. Well, no, it doesn't. It doesn't work that way, guys. This is Drickers du Plessis we're talking about. He will just have immaculate, pristine takedown defense now. This is just the thing we're talking about with Drickers du Plessis. Watching his old fights, just don't do it. It doesn't make any sense. He's going to go in there. He's somehow going to have 100% takedown defense against Hamza. Now, I think he will actually get taken down, but it wouldn't surprise me if Drickers went in there and just didn't get taken down now because he's got some weird plot armor that always seems to work. But I think he's going to land a lot of big shots on Hamzat. We've seen Hamzat is his striking defense isn't the best. We've seen Gilbert Burns land a lot of big shots on him in their fight. Now, Drickers doesn't have the offensive jiu-jitsu of his back like Gilbert Burns does to, keep the fight from keeping Hamzat from wanting to shoot. And maybe Hamzat has a lot more success on the feet than people will assume. But I like Drickers. I don't know. Every way I think about this fight, I like Drickers. I just feel like he's got more avenues to winning. He's got the cardio advantage. And as we seen yesterday with Roman Dolidze versus Anthony Hernandez, it's not a good idea to pick gases against guys who have weaponized cardio. I know people always say, like, Drickers du Plessis, oh, he looks so tired and everything. He doesn't now since he got his nose fixed. And even then, if this is a sloppy back-and-forth fight where they're both super, super gassed, we know Drickers du Plessis can keep pushing forward and fight hard even while he's super tired. But with Hamza, we've seen him slow down and not really, do a whole lot when he does gas out against Kamaru Usman. We've seen that he really didn't have an answer once he slowed down. And I know that Drickers du Plessis, he will just keep pushing forward and he'll tire out Hamza more. I know he will land big shots. I know he'll kick him to the body. The body kicks are you could say that, well, if he does that, he's going to get taken down. But I just can see Drickers keep getting back up. He's going to keep fighting his game. I feel like he's not going to change anything here. He's just going to fight the smart fight, which is going to be to put that pressure on Hamza. And I think eventually he'll have Hamza backing up, landing a lot of big strikes. And I think he is going to just somehow get that submission over Hamza Chimaev. So I'm going to go with Drickers du Plessis, 4th round submission. In a very competitive first round, but then I think it's just going to be Drickers sort of like breaking him. I feel like Hamza will throw some big shots, but I feel like he could also gas himself a bit earlier. And I'm going to go Drickers du Plessis to get this one done. But how crazy would it be if Drickers just went out there and chinned him or subbed him in the first round? That'd be absolutely insane. Doesn't even use the cardio. But yeah, I'm going to go Drickers du Plessis to get this one done. But let me know how you guys have this card going. Let me know who you guys are picking to win this fight. Make sure you subscribe. Become a member today. Shout out to Rick Shaw, Mixed Martial Artist, my member. My single member, if you become a member, I will shout you out at the end of the video. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Subscribe, put on notifications. I go live very often as well if you ever want to catch me in a live stream, and I will answer every single comment. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.